Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's keeping well. Now, sometimes in history there's people that come along and with their creativity, their vision and their input they can change the course of a project, and that's exactly what happened in the case of this particular locomotive. This is the Intercity 125, also known as the HST or high speed train. She's a class 43. Now, in the early 70s, two teams were working away at Derby. One team was developing the APT, Advanced Passenger Train, and the other team was working on what would be a stopgap, and which in case the APT was not successful, and this was the Intercity HST. So a team at BR were working away on this, and the British Rail, they were going to employ some very unique features within this locomotive, and we're going to go through those now. But this video is really about the man who came up with this unique design for the locomotive, and it was a man that had no connection to the rail industry. His name was Kenneth Grange, and he was a British industrial designer, and he was responsible for such things as the Kodak Instamatic camera, the Kenwood Chef mixer, the parking meter, the rural post box, all kinds of household appliances, washing machines, shavers. So a very unique designer. So British Rail approached them and they wanted to commission him to come up with a livery for this new train, and that's the man we're going to talk about today. So hold on there. It's a really interesting story, and we'll have a look at the history of how the front end of this locomotive was changed. I'm going to be having a look at the prototype, and I'm going to put up loads of photographs and pictures of the prototypes. Now, when BR were developing the HST, there was a couple of unique features that were going to be employed in its construction. The first thing is the prime mover. They were going to use a Paxman prime mover, and Paxman supplied engines to the marine industry, so they supplied engines for the likes of destroyers, submarines, aircraft carriers. Now, the rail industry had used Paxman before for the likes of classes 14, 15, 16, 17, at a class 29, and the prototype fell. So they're going to use a Paxman Valenta. It's a brand new engine. Another feature that would be in this train is it would have a locomotive at either end of the train. So a locomotive here at the end, carriages in between, and a further locomotive powering the train at the opposite end. This was to increase power and speed that they wanted for the new train. Another interesting feature was the braking system. So obviously this train was going to be running at much higher speeds than other diesel types at the time, and there was a problem with this, is that they needed to reduce the stopping distance quicker. Now, that was either going to be solved through re-signaling of the whole entire network, and which was a serious undertaking, or what they decided to do was, for the very first time, they would have electronically assisted braking on the locomotives. Another unique feature was the windscreen. They went to, I think it was Pilkington, if I remember rightly, because they did windscreens and glasses for the aeronautical industry, and they were the leading specialists at the time. So it was going to have armoured plating windscreens, because at the time in the 70s, vandalism on the railway was a big problem. People throwing rocks and bricks from bridges as the train was passing by. So this was a safety feature that was going to be put into the train. As I say, when they approached Grange, his brief was to come up with the livery for the train. So at the initial meeting, when he met British Rail, they gave him a model of the prototype they had designed themselves. And when Grange looked at it, well, we can say he wasn't too impressed by it. The original prototype British Rail came with, it wasn't very aerodynamic at all, and it wasn't very sleek. It didn't look like a high-speed train. So he didn't say anything to British Rail at the time, and he went away, and what he did was he made his own models and reworked the front end, the cab end of the train, and he tested it out at a university on wind tunnel systems, obviously using the air trails and the smoke trails to try and find a much more aerodynamic design for the locomotive. So we will have a look at his prototype version now. So I'm just going to put up a picture of BR's original prototype, and I'll run through it. It's really really strange when you have a look at the locomotive. It doesn't look very aerodynamic at all. And then I'll put up a picture of Grange's own prototype that he put before the board when he went back to British Rail. As you can see this from this picture here, this is British Rail's prototype that they gave to Grange, and he went away and he worked on his own prototype. This is it in this picture here. Incorporates the one driver window and the buffers. And this is the prototype that they built two of and they tested. And of course it had the speed record of 143 miles per hour. When he met British Rail again and presented his prototype to them, I can only imagine that the room kind of went quiet for a while, and then they were actually delighted with it. It was so more aerodynamic and sleek looking and looked like a high-speed train. And two of the locomotives of his prototype were built. They were rigorously tested by BR, and it achieved a high-speed record of 143 miles per hour in 1973, and was all set to go into full production. But there was a turn of events, and we're going to talk about those turn of events right now. So the HST prototype was going to have a small window at the front there, as shown in the picture I put up, and it was going to be a single driver controlled locomotive. Now, when the railway unions found out about this, they were really dead set against it. Their concern was this new locomotive running at higher speeds, over 100 miles per hour. This was a safety issue they felt on it, and they were dead set against it. So when BR learned of this, they went back to Grange and they asked Grange to redesign the front cab window. Now, for him to do that, it was a real major issue, because redesigning the front cab window with a bigger window was going to change all the aerodynamic and sleek features he had put into his original prototype. So this was a real problem for him. He went back to Derby and he consulted the British Rail chief engineer and the team there, And throughout the course of the conversation, it was mentioned to Grange that really they didn't need the front buffers that were on the prototype. Grange said, well, listen, if you don't need the buffers and we take them out, that gives me plenty of room to work around, to reshape the prototype into what will become the Class 43. So what he did was, on the prototype, the angle of the window, the front of the cab was more angular. It was more like this, with the buffer sitting there, and he was now able, with the buffers removed, to slope the front cab all the way back, making it much more aerodynamic. The buffers were now gone, and he could make the underside slope more steeply inwards, giving this unique shape. And so the Intercity Class 43 was completed, ready to go into full production, and it went into full production and went into service in 1976, and it's had a very, very long career, over 40 years, and they still do use Class 43s. Network Rail have used them for measurement trains, that kind of thing, and it really was down to Kenneth Grange's unique creativity that they came up with this fantastic design. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Just a brief talk about Kenneth Grange and his input into railway history, really. Grange died there last year in 2024, and he was quite a unique man, a very good industrial designer. I'm gonna next video I might do a running session with my HSTs, and I'll have them running on various trains on the layout. Until then, everyone take care and look after yourself, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.